Hi, I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favourite TV and radio personalities, asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. In this episode, I am delighted to welcome Kane Thornton, Chief Executive of the Clean Energy Council, and definitely an industry expert. Kane, how are you?
Hi, Rosh. Great to be with you.
Likewise, and thank you so much for making yourself available today. I know you're a very, very busy man, especially with all energy coming up, so I do appreciate it.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, a lot happening in the industry and the road to zero. But no, always happy to make time and chew the fat on what's happening out there in the world around us.
Good man, thank you so much. Well, look, Kane, as you know, Energy Matters is largely a resource educating the public, the Australian public, and those in the industry on the latest and greatest developments in the renewable energy space. So, we obviously, and our goal is to connect consumers to the best retailers around the country, and ideally encourage them to all install solar power, batteries, and hopefully you'll be driving an EV before too long. So, as inside of what we do, we get a lot of inquiries and questions from the public. And from the industry, and I'm pretty sure you're the man to answer a number of those for you. So nothing too curly today. Feel free to share your opinion as well, Kane. Don't toe the company line. Tell us what you really think.
It's a high expectation. I'll do what I can, Rush.
Good man. Well, look, Kane, from my own experience as well as in the past as a solar retailer, mums and dads and small business owners largely identify with the Clean Energy Council as almost a form of accreditation, identification, allowing solar retailers to undertake installations of solar power systems in their workplace or in their home. Clearly, the Clean Energy Council does a lot more than that. So can you summarise, just for anyone listening or watching today, what role the CEC plays in the Australian renewable energy industry?
Yeah, for sure. So, we are the national peak industry body for the renewable energy industry. And so what that means is, a lot of what we do is around advocacy and engaging and working with governments and regulators to really push the country as quickly as we can to a future where we're 100% powered by renewable energy, and we can take advantage of this big opportunity for us to be a clean energy superpower. So that's one part of what we do. With that comes a lot of analysis of the industry, a lot of advocacy, a lot of engaging with governments and regulators, and really trying to push the country forward. But what we recognize is that for us to do that, we also need to make sure that our house is in order, and as an industry, we're doing the right thing. So we work really closely with industry to make sure we're lifting the bar, we're putting in place standards around all sorts of things that might be how the industry is engaging with communities when they're building a solar farm or a wind farm, but particularly around rooftop solar and household batteries. We also run 3 programs. One is the accreditation of installers to make sure that installers are well trained, they've got the skills, they know what they're doing when they're installing systems. We also run a program to ensure that the products that are being installed meet the necessary standards. We also run a code called the New Energy Technology Consumer Code that ensures that retailers meet the higher standards and essentially the expectations. So that ensures that ultimately the public, when they're buying solar or a battery, they get it well installed, the product's going to work, and they're going to get treated respectfully and appropriately by their retailer. So it's both pushing for the advocacy for us to do more as a nation, but making sure that we do it properly and people get what they pay for.
Which is absolutely fantastic. And it does really provide that peace of mind, the end consumer is looking for. There have been some changes recently, hasn't there? So I saw something from the CEO regarding changes to your program. So it went from being accredited and approved solar retailer to that NETCC.
Yeah, so there's been a few changes, and I think these are all in the spirit of making sure that we keep on lifting the bar for the industry and ultimately for consumers. So firstly, we've had something was called the Approved Solar Retailer Program that would essentially accredit retailers who meet a higher standard. That's been expanded and evolved into something called the New Energy Technology Consumer Code. It's a mouthful, but it's the NETCC. And that's now being expanded out beyond solar. So for retailers of batteries, of EV chargers, for other new energy technologies. And this is a program that will essentially mean it's authorized by the ACCC. It has a lot of credibility and independence. And it means that if a consumer is looking to buy something, a solar system or a battery system, they can have a greater level of confidence if the company they're buying it from, the retailer, is approved under that program. The Clean Energy Regulator is also going through a process in terms of the installer accreditation program, so considering who might be the right body to do that. So that's something that might change in the future. Our expectation is that role will probably be played by another body, which is fine. There's a lot for us to do. And we'll focus on, supporting installers, making sure there's a lot of training and information available to them so they understand what's some pretty complex regulations and standards out there for them to navigate through. So, a few changes coming down the pipeline, but ultimately all of them about continuing to lift the bar and improve the industry and make sure that, customers are well treated.
Fantastic. And look, as I said, coming from a solar retail background myself, I can certainly see the transition of work in of the end result, if you like, in terms of the quality workmanship. The standards have been certainly lifted, and I can see the impact you guys have had, especially around auditing, accreditation, education, and that has really happened. I've been in the industry for about 13 years, but really, even to today, there are still a few horror stories, unfortunately, of poor practices, of pop-up solar retailers, which result in low quality and sometimes dangerous installations. I mean, what more can be done to curtail the prevalent and persistent dodgy portion of our industry?
Yeah, look, it's it's been a challenge. There's no doubt there's been some players in the industry that haven't done the right thing, and we work really closely with people like the Clean Energy Regulator or some of the other bodies around the country, the Energy and Water Ombudsman, some of the different government programs to keep doing what we can to weed them out. There is a role for different parts of government and other bodies. The changes that I mentioned, and both expanding the new energy technology consumer code, the work being done to continue to lift the bar on standards, these are all really important because you've really got to define the standards and expectations first. And once you've done that, that allows you then to be able to take action on whether it's retailers not doing the right thing, whether it's installers not meeting the standards. So we're seeing a lot of that now. I think a much bigger focus on it, certainly from the Clean Energy Council and a lot of the other agencies that play a role. And therefore we're seeing, each year there's dozens of installers, for example, who have their accreditation suspended or cancelled because they're consistently not meeting the expectations we have as an industry. So, I think we're pointing in the right direction. Industries, we're not perfect. We've still got some more work to do, but I think it's fair to say people coming into the industry who aren't doing the right thing are getting a pretty hard time, and they're being flushed out of the industry. And to be frank, good riddance to them.
Very cool. I like your style. I mean, you referenced earlier, Kane, Australia becoming a clean energy superpower, right? So that's certainly something that we all want to see, and we're certainly a massive advocate for that. I mean, the current federal government, and I don't like to get too involved in politics, but the current federal government appears to be a step in the right direction. What are the three critical actions, in your opinion, would you say need to be action for that to happen, and also for us to achieve our ambitious 82% renewable energy target by 2030?
It's hard to list three of them. In fact, just this week we released really our manifesto for Australia to become 100% renewables and then become a clean energy superpower. It's called the Power Playbook. It's on our website, and people can jump on there and have a look. 45 recommendations. Sorry, Rosh, I know you don't have time for me to walk through 45 of them, but
pick three, Kane.
I'll pick three. Look, it's there's a lot to do, and you're right in that the federal government. We've never been in a situation where we've got a federal government and really state and territory governments right across the country are universally now focused on how we manage the energy transition and get us to net zero. And that's a unique situation for us. The new federal government has been doing all the right things, focusing on the grid, developing the workforce, helping to build a more local supply chain. All of these things are pointing in the right direction, but there is more to do. And so a few examples of that, firstly, our main policy for driving renewable energy in this country has been the renewable energy target that supports both large-scale renewables like wind farms and solar farms, but it also supports householders going solar through the STC scheme. Now, that scheme ends in 2030, and we think that's a problem. We think that there does need to be an extension of that beyond 2030. If you're building a wind or solar farm, these are assets that, operate for 15 or 20 years. They're capital intensive. They pay themselves off, but there's a role for government to extend the scheme, we think, to give them some more certainty. And the same on the small scale side. The STC scheme has been very powerful in, getting to, we're now at 3.5 million. We're over that now. Every day it ticks upwards, 3.5 million homes with rooftop solar. But that can't end in 2030. We think there's a need for that to be extended beyond 2030, and particularly for it to be tweaked to also support batteries. Solar's become more cost effective, but batteries, we think, is where that scheme could also be expanded so that it can support householders who want to go batteries, but they're obviously got a bigger upfront cost, and that scheme could be extended to support that. Really, they're probably the two priority areas that we see for government. We think we do need a master plan for this clean energy superpower. It needs to really set a much clearer strategy. I said government's doing the right things. They're sort of picking off the right priorities. But what's our plan as a whole? How do we make sure we're building out the grid? How do we make sure we identify where we want to develop Australian manufacturing capability? How do we take advantage of the global demand for our critical minerals and lithium resources? How do we make sure we're developing the workforce so that we've got the accredited installers or the engineers to connect wind farms up to the grid? All of these things, we think a complete plan is probably a missing part of the puzzle at the moment as well. I think that's more than three, Rosh, but gives you a bit of a flavour for what we see as the priorities.
No, I think you've nailed it there, Kane. And I mean, talking about like the 3.5 million homes. If you consider how long we've been doing what we've been doing, for me, the rate of adoption is incredibly slow. And I think that's, yes, it's been great to see federal support in the STC program, and in the various states, their own level of support in terms of rebates and and loans, if you like, just to help facilitate the adoption of renewable energy technology. But seriously, really to achieve those kind of goals, things need to speed up. And look, I'm keen to understand your opinion. This is more opinion, on how important it is that we move towards a net zero, a net zero carbon future, and what will be the climatic impact if it continues at the current pace of adoption.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, we're not on track to deliver the levels of emission reductions that scientists tell us we need to. Unfortunately, the climate science, in fact, it's not the forecast, it's the reality that we see every day I think it's deeply concerning. The sort of things that we expected to be happening in 30 or 50 or 100 years are starting to happen now. If you look at the rate of flood events, of fires, of impact of droughts, the climate is changing right now today. We don't have the luxury of waiting 30 or 50 or 100 years for some of that to play out. It's happening now. And so, I think what that tells us is that the targets, even the current targets, which, by the way, we're not on track for, aren't ambitious enough. They're going to have to be dialed up, and we're going to need to start making real progress. Now, for Australia, that's a big challenge because, as we know, certainly in the energy sector, we've got a big reliance on coal still and gas. While we've had some real success in deploying, as you said, 3.5 million homes with solar, 30 or $40 billion worth of large-scale renewables, we're still only at sort of around 35 to 40% of our energy system coming from renewables. We need to put the foot on the accelerator, and that's not happening at the moment. And so, there's a big challenge. I mean, that obviously creates a massive risk for us from a climate perspective, but also, the old coal-fired generators, they're getting older and they're closing, and we need that new generation coming in just to replace the coal, to make sure we keep the lights on, make sure we drive down power prices, and that, the system's more affordable for all energy customers. So there's a lot of drivers for us. There's a lot of reasons we should be accelerating our renewables deployment. Unfortunately, it hasn't been happening as quickly as we needed it to. And the consequences, if that continues, whether it be climate, whether it be energy security, whether it be energy prices, is deeply problematic and concerning for all of us.
Completely. Do you sometimes feel, when you're talking at a government level specifically, do you feel sometimes it's falling on deaf ears, or do you really see, the real sort of light bulb moment where it's actually, it's hit the mark and it's like, we actually need to do something now?
I think there's no doubt that the governments of today get it. I had a lot of frustrations probably over the last 10 years, and to be frank, the previous federal government was quite challenging to deal with, and I don't think this was well understood. There is no doubt that the federal government we have today and state governments around the country absolutely get it. They understand the risks. They understand the risk from a climate environment perspective. They also understand it from an energy security, reliability, price, cost of living, all of those factors. They absolutely get it, and they are doing as much as they can, I think. I've been really impressed with the commitment and the progress they're making. But this is hard stuff, Rosh. You can't. We're trying to transition the energy sector dramatically. This is really complicated stuff. It's difficult and challenging, and we're trying to make up for a lost 10 or 15 years and do it even quicker. And so it's not easy, but we've heard from the Prime Minister in recent days that he is really committed to this. They see it as so important, and I think there's a lot of work going on in government to make sure that they're doing the right things, that they're responding. The three areas that are the priorities that I just outlined, there's no doubt government's very interested in those. I'm in Canberra pretty well every week at the moment. They are very interested and engaged, and I'm optimistic that we're going to see them taking more action to make sure we're on track. Well,
you're reassuring me, Kane. So that's good to hear, and it's good to know that those conversations are taking place, and the attitude certainly is focused towards what we believe to be critical, and that's fantastic. I mean, on a lighter note, I mean, CC has created an incredible event that I've attended year in, year out, which is All Energy. That's coming up in only a couple of weeks' time in Melbourne. It's just, the event has just grown and grown and grown every single year. And from my conversations with the organisers, this year's yet, set to be the biggest year yet. I mean, when you attend the All Energy event, I mean, what do you most look forward to? And what role would you say the conference actually plays in today's Australian renewable energy industry?
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a bit of time just now talking about the challenges and the cause for concern and doom and gloom. The All Energy event is, as much as anything, a fantastic way to come together and celebrate our successes and achievements. This industry in Australia's progress on renewables has been pretty extraordinary at one level, and the event is a great way to come together. I love going there because it gives me an injection of optimism and hope, and I get to hang out with, literally thousands of people who aren't sitting around, wondering what the future might look like. These are the people who are rolling up their sleeves and changing the future. And gee, they're inspiring. Being around thousands of people that are rolling up their sleeves and getting on with it and are at the forefront of the clean energy transition is where, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else, would you? And look, it has obviously there's a big speaking program and a massive exhibition, and getting to wander around and see the latest technology. Like it's the place to come and showcase the latest technology, be that panels or batteries or inverters or EV chargers, you name it, it'll all be there, and you get to see what's happening and evolving. Extraordinary technological progress. but then just really the broader ecosystem of how does that connect up with customers, how does it operate with the energy market, how does it fit in the grid, all of those things, bring it all together in one massive event over a couple of days, and lots of, I'm sure you'll get to plenty of networking events and drinks and lunches and all sorts of stuff to hang out with really exciting people doing really cool stuff. So and all the better, it's free to attend. Why wouldn't you be there?
Absolutely, and that's what blows my mind, to be fair, Ken. It's like the fact it is free to attend. I mean, it's hard push to attend, a paid conference where you have so many speakers, so much knowledge, so much information, and then you are wowed just in general by the exhibition itself, where everyone pushes the limits in terms of how beautiful their stands look and what they're promoting. But just that advancement in technology is incredible. I know I personally always feel overwhelmed when I attend because there's just so many speakers, there's so much going on. You're trying to choose where should I place myself and when, who's worth listening to. And, and obviously everyone is worth listening to. Is anyone who's speaking, I apologize in advance. I know you've all got something really, really relevant to talk about, something really inspiring. But Kane, for anyone like me who's either traveling from interstate to attend this conference or seeing so much to choose from with only 2 days, what suggestions would you have in terms of prioritization of time?
Oh God, that's a tough question. I mean, you've got to get along to my session opening, the opening plenary on day one.
Of course,
I'll be chairing that session. I better see you there, Rosh, in the front row. Look, it's really tricky. I mean, there is so much on over the course of the 2 days. I mean, I think the message to anyone is get your hands on the program, have a look at what's on, and you make the call. Whether you're, if you're interested in offshore wind, there's sessions on offshore wind that you need to get along to. There's a whole jobs fair. If you're new to the industry, in fact, even better, if you're not currently in the industry, there's a whole jobs fair on day 2. I'll be speaking at it with the Victorian Premier. Get along there and you'll meet a lot of companies who are looking to employ people and give job opportunities. As I said, there's an enormous number of exhibitors, really, no matter which part of the industry you're interested in or technologies you're interested in. So get your hands on the program, have a look what's on, and there's no apologies. You have to make some hard decisions about which things matter to you more than others, and get to them as many as you can. My final suggestion is wear comfortable shoes because
yes.
It's a massive event. We take up the entirety of the Melbourne Convention and Conference Centre. You're going to do a lot of walking, and you're also going to do a lot of talking. So bring some throat lozenges and some comfy shoes.
No, definitely. Like, I always wear sneakers, so I don't care. I don't care what everyone else thinks. No suited and booted for me, Kane. It's sneakers, jeans, and a comfy polo. Look, thank you so much for your time today, mate. I do appreciate it. And for anyone out there listening or watching, if you're in the industry or looking to get in the industry, as Kane said, come along, because this is the best time to be introduced to so many people. Ask lots of questions. The networking events are second to none. And, sometimes you can go a little bit too hard. So you just got to watch yourself personally and how you back it up the next day, because there's more on the following day too, right? So, but look, Kane, thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Rosh. Great to chat, and see you in a couple of weeks at All Energy.
Absolutely. See you at the very beginning, and I'll be there.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you then.
Mate. Okay, guys. So look, you heard it here first. Come along if you're in the industry or not in the industry and looking to get involved in the industry, or just really simply curious to know what the advancements are in technology, and listen to some fantastic speakers. This event is free to attend. So it's going to be at the Melbourne Convention Exhibition Centre on the 25th and the 26th of October. You can register either through Energy Matters, we've got lots of banners on our website, or directly at the All Energy website. Once again, to rewatch this podcast or to get the latest Energy updates, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Other than that, thank you so much for your time today, and see you on the next broadcast. Thank you very much.